everyone, Zach Pakoff here, and welcome back to another lesson video. Today, I will be going over the 6-3 work together. So let's jump right into the video. Okay, so as I had stated before, I'm going to be going over the 6-3 work together. In the last video, I read over the 6-3 text. If you did miss that video for any reason, please click the link in the description. But anyway, today I will be going over the 6-3 work together, where we will be completing a worksheet. So the instructions say, use the worksheet from work together 6-2. Your instructor will guide you through the following examples. Number 1, extend the up-to-date balances to the balance sheet and income statement columns. Number 2, rule a single line across the income statement and balance sheet columns, total each column, and calculate and record the net income or net loss, and also label the amount in the account title column. And for number 3, total and rule the income statement and balance sheet columns. Okay, so now that I've read over the instructions, let's jump right into the 6-3 work together. Alrighty, so now we're going to be moving on to the 6-3 work together, in which we will be completing a worksheet. So each amount is going to be transferred to either the balance sheet or income statement columns. And the amounts for each account are going to be listed as either an asset, liability, owner's equity, revenue, or expense account. And the purpose of an income statement is to determine whether we've made money or lost money, and the purpose of a balance sheet is to prove that our accounting equation is in balance and that assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. So the first account classification that we're going to start with is going to be assets. And the first account that we're going to start with is going to be cash. So cash was recorded in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $9,800. So we are going to transfer this number over to the balance sheet debit column. Okay, so the next account is going to be petty cash. So this account was recorded in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $150. So we are going to transfer this number over to the balance sheet debit column. Next is going to be accounts receivable, Ruby Prince. This account was recorded in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $2,795. So we are going to transfer that number over to the balance sheet debit column. Now, for supplies, as you can see here, we have $456 that's listed in the trial balance debit column. Well, we had an adjustment of $131 that's listed in the adjustment credit column. So the difference between those two numbers will give us the amount that's going to be listed in the balance sheet debit column. So we're going to type in equals, take 456, subtract it from 131, and that will give us the amount that's listed in the balance sheet debit column, which is $325 for supplies. We're going to do the same thing for prepaid insurance. We're going to type in equals, take 750, subtract it from 250, and that will give us the amount that's going to be listed in the balance sheet debit column for prepaid insurance, which is $500. Okay, so now we are done with our assets, and now we're ready to move on to our liabilities. So accounts payable, Richard Navarro, was listed in the trial balance credit column as an amount of $555. So we are going to transfer this number over to the balance sheet credit column. Okay, so now we are done with our liabilities, and we're ready to move on to the next account classification, which is owner's equity. So Gary Baldwin Capital was listed in the trial balance credit column as an amount of $14,885. So we are going to transfer this number over to the balance sheet credit column. For Gary Baldwin Drawing, this account was listed in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $3,400. So we are going to transfer this number over to the balance sheet debit column, All right, so now we are done with our balance sheet accounts, and we are now ready to move on to our income statement accounts. And the first account classification for the income statement is going to be revenue. So income summary was listed as nothing, but we will be using that account in the future. So the first account that's going to be listed for our income statement column is going to be sales. So sales was recorded in the trial balance credit column as an amount of $4,320. So we are going to transfer this number over to the income statement credit column. All right, now we are done with our revenue accounts, and we are ready to move on to the final account, which are expenses. So for advertising expense, this was recorded in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $931. So we're going to transfer this number over to the income statement debit column. For the insurance expense account, this account was listed as an amount of $250 in the adjustment debit column. So since there was no other number in the trial balance debit column or credit column, we are going to just bring that number over to the income statement debit column. For miscellaneous expense, this account was listed in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $378. So we're going to bring that number over to the income statement debit column. For supplies expense, this amount was listed in the adjustment debit column of $131. So since there was no other number in the trial balance credit column, we can just bring this number over to the income statement debit column. And finally, the last account is going to be utilities expense. So this account was listed in the trial balance debit column as an amount of $1,100. So we are going to transfer this number over to the income statement debit column. Okay, so now we are done with our expense accounts, and we are now ready to total these columns. So we are going to draw a single line rule here. And then using the sum formula, we are going to total all of these columns. So we're going to type in equals sum, select cells G6 to G20, and then press enter. Okay, so next for our income statement credit column, we can just bring the revenue account, which is sales, down because there was only one account that was listed in the income statement credit column. Next, we are going to use the sum formula for the balance sheet debit column. Select cells I6 to I20, then press enter. And then using the sum formula for the the balance sheet credit column, we are going to select cells J6 to J20 and then press enter. Now, as you can see here, these numbers do not equal, but they will eventually. So the first thing that we're going to do here is figure out whether we've made money or lost money. So as you can see here, the revenue is higher than the expenses. So since the revenue is higher than the expenses, we have made a net income. So we are going to type in the words net income in the account title column. Now to figure out the net income, we are going to take the revenue and subtract it from the expenses. So we're going to type in equals, take revenue, subtract it from the expenses. That will give us 1,530. We're going to be bringing that number over to the balance sheet credit column because we are adding that to our owners. So we're going to be bringing that number over to the balance sheet credit column. And then we are going to draw another single rule. And then what we're going to do here is, using the sum formula, we are going to add 2,790 to 1,530. And that will give us 4,320, which is the same number as our revenue. So these two columns equal. And then we are going to do the same thing for our balance sheet columns. 970 sum 15,440 plus 1,530. That gives us 16,970. So since these numbers are all balanced and that the debits equal the credits, we can draw a double line rule here. And the double line rule in accounting means that the debits equal the credits and that the work is accurate. Okay, so that is the end of the 6-3 work together. In the next video, I will be going over the 6-4 text. All right, thank you.